Hi, everybody. Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. Today, we're going to do the top 5 Chanel perfumes for the month of April. 'Tis the year 2025. Can you believe it's already the third month? No, the fourth month. I'm terrible at math and months. It's the fourth month. So we're only 2 months away from June, end of June, which is the midpoint of the year. So the year is just, where did it go? It's crazy. So anyway, Chanel is my personal oasis of feeling comfortable, of feeling relaxed, of feeling safe. It's my comfort zone. So this is why I always dedicate an extra selection of Chanel perfumes that I like very much each month because I love all sorts of perfumes, but I always go back to Chanel. Somehow Chanel has my heart. The quality of their perfumes, even though, I've been talking about Chanel leather quality, their textile qualities, the quality of their prices, their pricing policies. Like there's a lot that I don't appreciate from Chanel currently. But one thing that has consistently remained a magnetic focal point from Chanel for me, or for me towards Chanel, have been perfumes, their fragrances. So I use mostly Chanel perfumes in my day-to-day life. And I mix up with a lot of other brands for sure, because I love a lot of different perfumes, but I always go back to Chanel. So subscribe to my channel as we go on this little April journey together. Subscribe, thumb up the video, and everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. The first perfume, as you're thumbing up, is magically it's going to appear on the side here. Man, oh man. Okay, Paris-Venise. This is one of the first 3 Les Eaux that were launched. Can't remember, when was it? 2017, 2018, I think. Let me check. I have, yeah, 2018. So it was one of the first 3, which were Paris-Deauville, Paris-Biarritz, and Paris-Venise, and they all have the French spelling of the fragrance. In case you're wondering why don't they spell Venice as in Vnice if you're in an English-speaking country, or if you are in Italy. In Italian, it would be Venezia, so it would be Venezia. But no, it's a French brand, and Coco loved Venice, and she loved the Byzance aspect of Venice, the Byzantine quality of Venice, and Olivier Polge delivers a very Byzantine or Byzantian or Byzantinian facet to this perfume, albeit light and, well, like the whole range is called Les Eaux. It has that kind of water context about it, the lightness of it. They were supposed to be allegedly released first as Eau de Colognes, but then Chanel, I have a feeling last minute, they upped them to Eau de Toilettes in name only, because I think they wanted to price them a little bit higher. This, by the way, is interesting about the pricing with the Les Eaux range, because in 2025, Chanel had its price increase for their fragrances and skincare, beauty, makeup. They had a price increase, and well, believe it or not, we would think that the Les Exclusives had the highest price increase because, when a Les Exclusive 200 mil from Chanel goes up in price, it usually goes up in price $40 or $50 at a time. But surprise, surprise, this year, the biggest price increase was for the Les Eaux, percentage-wise. So, while the Les Exclusives received, like, what was it? I forgot. 7 to 8%, these little guys received like 10% price increase. Even though the final price on their, retail price, the difference doesn't seem as high from the price in 2024 to 2025, as opposed to the price of the Les Exclusives 2024 as opposed to 2025. However, percentage-wise, these little babies went up the most. Isn't that interesting? So Paris-Venise, it's a citrus, powdery, iris, vanilla, violet, aromatic, fresh, spicy, sweet, musky, amber accord. Now, I mean, it is quite a mouthful. And you can check out my review of Paris-Venise also on my channel, done many, many moons ago. Very, very fascinating fragrance. It's a tonka bean fragrance, actually, even though you would think sandalwood, but yeah, no. Look, we go through the lemon, bergamot, orange, petit gras, pink pepper in the opening notes, and of course, a lot of those sparkling Chanel aldehydes we're so used to. But then we go into the geranium, ylang ylang, rose, neroli, and iris. And then we go to the tonka bean and the base notes, vanilla violet, white musk, orris, root, and benzoin. There's a lot going on in Paris-Venise, and for those of you who love this type of Byzantine amber accord, but just want it a little bit fresher than, having it really almost borderline to a gourmand, like borderline to the intensity and depth of a Le Lion de Chanel, for example, or a Coromandel. This is within that family, but more light, more tame, and definitely more for this spring weather. Very much for April, and very much morning type of smell and fragrance for me, because it is very refreshing, but at the same time, it adds that level of sophistication and antiquity to it, almost archaeological. Like Chanel's costume jewelry, the gold-plated costume jewelry with the Byzantine reference within modern times. Now, for her in particular, those were the 30s, and then uh, after the 40s, mostly in the 60s, her Byzance references were very strong, especially in the 60s and towards the late 60s. But I have here an example, a Chanel Métier d'Art brooch from 2021/2022 from the Le 19M collection. This is a kind of a Maltese cross, but with a Byzance concept of a bow running through, in a golden lace bow, well, not lace, a ribbon, a golden ribbon bow running through all of these elements, so typical to Chanel, and then holding them all together. So if we I can't really flip it, but in the back, if I could flip it, you could see even more this bow running in the back. So very Byzance and very Venice as well. Venice loves its reds, its greens, its pinks, gold, and pearls. Paris-Venise is definitely an interesting duality between the opulence of Byzance and a sober Parisian chic detachment as well. So this one gives you kind of the vibe of almost like an 80s opulence, but then it also gives you a sobering rigidity in a way. It's very Chanel. Olivier Polge is the perfumer behind this one. He did a really good job with this one. And the Ylang Ylang in particular, also the Neroli here, are really, really well dosed and well used. So it is a very elegant perfume. Maybe, dare I say, the most elegant of the Les Eaux range. Is it my favorite? I'm kind of still leaning towards Paris Paris is my favorite, because I love that Damascus rose and that ratchet going back home in the early mornings, the walk of shame. But anyway, check out my review of Paris Paris as well. And I'm going to post shopping links to all of them as well here. So check out the links as well to help out the channel. Thank you guys so much. So, but this one is probably the most elegant of all of of the Paris Deauville, Paris Biarritz, Paris Paris, Paris Edinburgh, and Paris Venice. I think this one really takes the cake in terms of just projection. It has that retro vibe about it, traveling through time, very sophisticated and elegant. I mean, if you are in Venice, or if you're traveling through Venice and you're going on a little tourist spree or shopping spree through Venice, I highly recommend going to the Chanel fashion boutique. Back in 2016, they just opened a new one, and I went there shortly after they opened in a new location. Several stories high, really, really beautiful. And because Venice is so famous for their textiles, velvets, moiré, silks, satins. That Chanel boutique was kind of also specialized for textile bags and textiles in general. So yeah, you could get your classic Chanel leather bags, but you would go to, I would go to Venice to get like special jerseys, special patchwork textile bags, special tweeds. They had a huge selection of Chanel textile bags, that I've not seen in any other country or any other Chanel boutique I went to. So they had that kind of, it's a very interesting boutique. And where this perfume, while you go there shopping, now the last time I went there in 2016 when they just opened that new boutique, this one was not on the market yet because this one was going to be released 2 years after I went to the Venice boutique. But I can envision myself wearing this as I go there. And who knows, maybe they still focus in that boutique on beautiful kind of Venetian-inspired textiles. If they do, it's a beautiful experience to go and see. So Paris, Venice, just to dream a little, travel a little in your mind to better places, safer places, more inspiring places than the reality we're in. My number 2, and thumb up the video as we get to number 2, thank you so much, is Chanel Allure. And the Allure is the Eau de Toilette. Love it to bits. Love it to bits. This is a 90s creation by Jacques Polge. And I have an interesting tidbit. Okay. So first of all, there's something that the Chanel website says about this, but let's get to the notes first. In the top notes, we got, of course, the aldehydes, and then we got peach. Very important because this is not a chypre, but it kind of behaves a little bit like a chypre. I mean, it's a citrusy floral, white floral accord, but it does have the patchouli. It does have that mitsuko, which was the first kind of fruit chypre of its day from Guerlain. It has that peach in the opening, and it doesn't have oak moss, but it has vetiver, and vetiver kind of can be used instead of the oak moss sometimes. So even though this is a citrusy white floral, uh, it has kind of, the name allure says it all. It has an allure of a whiff or a memory of a chypre. Very, very fascinating perfume. So we have lemon, mandarin orange, bergamot, which is also typical for a chypre, isn't it? Passion fruit and peach in the opening notes. And then the middle notes, freesia, water lily, orange blossom, peony, May rose, magnolia, jasmine, honeysuckle. I have been obsessed currently with a shower gel. By the way, hashtag not sponsored, okay? A shower gel, which is kind of like a lotiony shower gel, very hydrating, peony and rose from Dove. Oh my gosh, it's called the Renew shower gel or something like that. Oh, I'm so happy to take a shower every time with it because the smell is so amazing. And it's a similar type of accord of peony and rose like we get in Allure. Very, very, very beautiful. And then the base notes are vanilla, amber, vetiver, patchouli, like I mentioned earlier, and sandalwood. Now, Chanel in their product says that it is difficult to define. And I find that this is why I wanted to read to you the description that Chanel gives of Allure. Because, like I said earlier, yeah, they do call it this kind of citrusy white floral vibe of a perfume, but it has echoes or reflections, refractions of a chypre. And so even the Chanel website says it's difficult to define in its current product description on their website. Impossible to resist, Allure is a floral, fresh, ambery fragrance in 6 facets that reveals itself in a unique way on every person because, well, they say woman, but I say person because perfumes don't know gender. Because each woman has her own special allure. The composition, they state, is sparkling notes of mandarin combined with the softness of May rose and the sensuality of vanilla. The Eau de Toilette is a lighter, more relaxed concentration and also much easier to love because it hits you, but without a pungency that some other Chanels have sometimes. And that's not a bad thing because usually when the opening notes are a little bit more pungent, then as it dries down, it gets more beautiful. And dry downs of Chanel fragrances are the best, really, in my opinion. So, but this one from the get-go doesn't have that pungency that some other fragrances from Chanel have or other concentrations might have. This Eau de Toilette is perfectly rounded. It's silky smooth. It's suave. It's like a feather. It caresses you. It's like a delicate caress, but it's firm and sober at the same time. So you understand why I'm loving this one currently, and it's because of that sobriety and firmness, but also safety net. That sense of feeling cocooned almost when I wear Allure, and so you're seeing a pattern forming here within my selections for the Chanel perfumes for the month of April this year. And I know I'm repeating myself because I've kind of said the same in the past months as well. But I mean, these are really rough times we're living in. So this feeling of that safety net, very important to me. And just the anxiety levels are, through the roof when you go outside in particular. Also, when you're home and you're just listening to the news and reading social media, it's just all a mess. So Chanel relaxes me, and Paris-Venise and then Allure also. They ground me in a safe cocoon-ish type of way. So if I find a shopping link to this one, I shall be posting it in the shopping links here on YouTube. Thank you so much for helping out the channel. Thumb up the video and let's move on to number 3. So my third is Antaeus. This is an 80s fragrance. So we had a 2018 perfume with Paris-Venise. So those were the 10s, the 2010s. And then we went into the 90s with Allure. And Allure was, I think, 1996. I think it was the Eau de Toilette was released 1996. And then Antaeus, I think, is 1981, if I'm not wrong. It's 1981. Jacques Polge is the nose behind Antaeus. Very fascinating fragrance. Pour homme. They target this one to the gentleman. And what a fascinating perfume. Even in its current concentration and formulation. I want to say formulation rather than concentration because it was always available as an eau de toilette. Chanel really in the 80s pushed the splash version of Antaeus. Now you can only purchase the spray unless you don't go for the aftershave lotion, which comes in a splash bottle. Also really delicious. Now, Eau de Toilette comes in used to come in a 50 ml and 100 ml. I think they only make the 100 ml. They have reduced their collections to the bare minimum. I mean, I think we're still really lucky to have 3 products for Antaeus, the deodorant stick, and then the aftershave lotion, which is a watery concoction, and then we have the Eau de Toilette. That's it. There used to be a soap, bath products, spray deodorant, stick, all sorts of things, right? No, Antaeus, alas. Well, still, Antaeus offers more than other Chanel perfumes that have been reduced to an even more bare minimum, like, for example, Cristal or Number 19. So Antaeus is a very interesting combination of so many wonderful things. Clary sage, first and foremost. We open up to clary sage, aldehydes, and myrrh, coriander, lime, bergamot, and then Amalfi lemon. And then we go into the mid notes with jasmine, basil, thyme, and rose. So again, perfume knows no gender. You have all of these dualities within Chanel perfumes. Antaeus, which is considered this masculine powerhouse of a perfume from the 80s, very businessman, shoulder pads oriented. The glass is black, the stopper is black, like, you know what I mean? The packaging is in a blood ox kind of burgundy color, also with black and white. So it's very male dominated, but at the heart of this perfume is the tender rose. Really beautiful. And then thyme and basil and jasmine. So we got the jasmine and rose, the signature DNA components of Chanel perfumes, jasmine and rose. They are at the middle heart of this perfume. And then in the base notes, also very interesting, we get the oak moss patchouli French labdanum. So not the labdanum, the cistus labdanum that we find from Cyprus, but they're talking about French labdanum and castoreum. Now, castoreum has been substituted definitely through IFRA regulations through a synthetic compound that's no longer taken from any glands of animals. But it is quite animalic in the base, right? So it has that animalic touch vibe. It's zhuzhy, but it's so elegant and beautiful. And I think the people at Chanel have really worked their magic, and Olivier Polge as well. I know that Jacques made the perfume, but his father. But the reformulations are kind of responsibility of Olivier since he took over in 2014/2015. And so I think he has done Antaeus justice. The current formulation of Antaeus is really beautiful. That clary sage mixed with that rosy accord. What is not really mentioned, is it mentioned? No, not really, not in this list. What is not mentioned here, but what I highly sense in Antaeus is a sweet honey accord. It's very delicate. It used to be more present in the past than its current iterations, but you can still sense it out if you really kind of let yourself, if you let Antaeus really take you places. Depending on your skin chemistry as well, you might sense out more the sweet aspect of Antaeus. Sometimes you might sense out more the rougher edges of Antaeus. On me, it tends to go slightly sweet and floral. It's so beautiful. And I love the surprise that this, and this is why I chose Antaeus this month, that rough kind of dude, bruh type, that you feel impenetrable. Once you start wearing him, and he kind of mellows down and warms up to you on your skin, shows a much more soft and delicate side, a protective, delicate side, a softer, sweeter side. So there's that hard shell, and then there's that beautiful, soft interior. That kind of, at the beginning you thought, I'm not going to like this person. This is a terrible situation, right? And then you get to know them, and then you realize, oh, we can work with this. We can actually work together. So there's hope for the future when I wear this perfume. Love it to bits. More so afternoon and evening for me in this particular weather right now. But, it can always change. Sometimes in summer, if I wear this in summer, I kind of like to wear it in the morning in the heat. It does something to me. I love it. If I find the shopping link to this one, I shall be posting it here. Thumb up the video. Thank you so much. And we're moving on to number 4. Number 4, oh man, what a masterpiece. But actually, before we get to Eau de Cologne, I just wanted to read to you what Chanel has to say about Antaeus. Sorry, let me just go back a second to Antaeus. From their website, they said, named after the mythological Greek giant who was invincible only as long as his feet remained on the ground. You see, that hard shell, that kind of, it appears to be impenetrable, but then when you start wearing it, it does lift up from the ground. Antaeus is an intense yet subtle, smooth and rich fragrance that tells the story of a hero, both viral or virile and vulnerable. An aromatic, leather-accented scent, the symbol of a powerful, sensitive masculinity. Powerful, sensitive masculinity. That duality, so magical. Really, really beautiful. Highly recommend also for the ladies out there. Don't blind purchase it. Go try it out. This is not an exclusive fragrance, so you can find it at authorized, Chanel perfume counters. Not just at Chanel boutiques. It's a joy to wear this one. It's also a blast from the past, dude. So anyway, moving on back to number 4, which is Eau de Cologne. And the Eau de Cologne is also very fascinating because it's not your regular Eau de Cologne. Because it doesn't just focus on those gorgeous, and I'm wearing it today, by the way. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. The more I wear this, the more I am hypnotized and obsessed with it. This is just on another level of beauty. Oh my God, is this thing beautiful? Okay, so of course we have the sparkling aldehydes, and then we got the lemon, bergamot, citruses, and green notes. That's your Eau de Cologne, classic. Then we get the neroli, petit gras, and spicy notes. Now this is where the things start getting interesting because there's neroli and neroli. The neroli in Eau de Cologne, it's on another level. It is pure. It is so high quality. It's so elevated. I mean, you are smelling nature. Okay, you are smelling a rich garden behind an opulent, beautiful villa, a rich, opulent garden filled with neroli. And it makes you feel warm and safe and clean and healthy. I mean, you feel like you're doing yourself a favor or giving yourself a spa treat by wearing Eau de Cologne. I mean, it is that good. And then it gets even more interesting because then in the base we get musk and tonka bean. And this is where it gets interesting because this perfume, you spray it on, yeah, those citrusy notes, they kind of dissipate very soon. I mean, you smell them in the beginning and then they're gone. And a lot of people complain about the longevity of this one. This one is not meant to have big longevity. Never was. It's not like, oh, Chanel is tricking you. They're charging so much. They're charging a lot. Yes, they are. No doubt about that. But uh, it, it it's art. It's so good. It's just that good. And when it dries down, so it does disappear in the beginning. I spray it on. That first waft of gorgeous citruses is amazing. And then very soon dissipates. And then I get little sprinkles of the neroli, which make me just titillate. And then it's gone. For about half an hour, it's gone. And then after half an hour, out of the blue, I start getting wafts of musk and tonka bean. And it's like, where is this coming from? But it's imbued in neroli still. It's still fresh and citrusy and bergamoty and aldehydic. So it's fresh. It constantly elevates, elevates, elevates. I mean, it is. This is Jacques Polge with, I believe, Christopher Sheldrake from 2006/2007. I think 2006. It's 2007. But they released it already in 2006, in Paris, kind of secretly. This one is from the original first launch of the relaunch of the Les Exclusives. Prior to the 11 that were launched in 2007, there used to be 4, which was number 22, Gardenia, Bois d'Azil, and Cuir de Russie. Now, those 4 are from Ernest Beau from the 20s, fragrances that were kind of in rotation and production, then discontinued, then they were brought back. And then they were only available in Chanel boutiques, except for number 22, which for a certain period of time was available everywhere. Then Chanel made it a boutique exclusive in Europe, but it was still in distribution and production in America. You could get it everywhere where Chanel perfumes were sold. And then they took that off the market in America as well and segregated number 22 to a boutique exclusive. Then they deleted the 4 off the market. They used to have different bottles, and then they brought them all back, all 4, plus a new 7 perfumes in 2007 as 200 ml Eau de Toilettes. And shortly after that, they added the 75 mils Eau de Toilettes. And then in 2016, they discontinued the Eau de Toilettes in favor of the Eau de Parfums. But we digress. Eau de Cologne, if you can afford it, I know it's expensive, worth every penny. It's just majestic. The best cologne I've ever smelled. Really, hands down. Thumb up the video and let's get to number 5. Haha. I know I do this joke so often, like, oh, what's number 5? Number 5 is number 5. So the Eau de Toilette of number 5, and I do love it in its refill bottle, which unfortunately in many countries has been discontinued. The 50 ml that goes inside of that container that used to be made out of black plastic with a metal golden ring around it, then they've updated the quality of it to a lacquered metal container in black with plastic inside to hold the glass so it doesn't kind of like ding against the metal. 50 ml, still with a golden ring, and then this is the refill bottle for the inside. It still has the Chanel logo on top of the lid, still beautiful. This is the one that everybody who works in the fashion industry and loves Chanel number 5, this is the one everybody would run around with in their purses. In Paris, it's kind of like a little insider tip. This is the version you would have in your purse because it doesn't break. There's no sticker that can peel off. The lid is very practical. There's no lacquered bits. This is great for on the go. Better than the Twist and Spray Eau de Toilette because this is 50 ml. That one is as big as this, but it's only 20 ml, and it comes in that lacquered metal container, which dings, chips. You throw it in the bag. It's not as practical. This was the way to go. What a masterpiece. We're back in the 20s with the Eau de Toilette, and this is very barbershop, actually. Like I say, perfumes know no gender, but this is very much masculine barbershop type of white floral fragrance. Very, very, very interesting on so many levels. So it's considered a woody, powdery, aldehydic, fresh, iris, earthy accord. So we have aldehydes, ylang ylang, neroli, amalfi, lemon, bergamot, and the opening notes, mid notes, orris root, lily of the valley, jasmine, rose, iris, and then base notes, civet, which is no longer in here, some synthetic substitute, however, is sandalwood, oak moss, vetiver, musk, patchouli, amber, and vanilla. There's a lot going on here. And Chanel says on their own website currently, in 1921, Gabrielle Chanel asked Ernest Beau to create a woman's perfume, a scent of a woman. Now, this has been kind of debunked since we have certain interviews from Ernest Beau. Michael Edwards released a book called Perfumes of the World, where there are certain quotes by Ernest Beau as well. Very interesting. Check out the book if you can. And it is said that Ernest Beau, while he was stationed in Russia during the First World War, he created, because he was already a perfumer back then, he created Chanel number 5 inspired by the snow that he experienced in Russia, the smell of snow. So he came back to France allegedly already with a formula for Chanel number 5, and Coco smelled it amongst other formulas that he had, and she loved it and chose that one. Whether or not she told him, tweak it here, tweak it there. Not in terms of technically tweaking it like a scientist, because Coco Chanel, she was not a perfumer, but, you know, she was very, in many ways, stubborn. She knew exactly what she wanted. So she would find a way with language to express how she would like something done, rather this way than that way. So I don't know if he tweaked it a little bit afterwards, but legend once said that the formula for Chanel number 5 was already ready by the time he started kind of talking to Coco, and you know, before she even came to him to talk about perfumes, it's like he already knew this was one of his perfumes, right? But anyway, but the Chanel, it's interesting how brand marketing works for these brands, and how the Chanel company today is still kind of peddling that concept of her coming to him. So they say in 1921, Gabrielle Chanel asked Ernest Beau to create a woman's perfume, a scent of a woman. Beau presented her with various samples of a visionary composition that made unprecedented use of aldehydes. Mademoiselle chose the 5th and decided to name it simply number 5. In 1924, she launched number 5, Eau de Toilette. In 1921, she launched the Extrait, a warm, vibrant echo of the now and forever fragrance. So here again, we have diverging stories. According to some, Eau de Toilette was also launched in 1921, while others claim that it was launched in 1922. And then the Chanel website claims it was launched in 1924. I want to believe that this one came out shortly after the Eau de Cologne. So first came out the Parfum, or the Extrait, Eau de Cologne, and then Eau de Toilette. The Eau de Parfum came out in the 80s, 1980s, and the creator behind that one, or the nose behind that one, is Jacques Polge. So very, very different era, very different decade from the first 3, which were Parfum, Eau de Cologne, and Eau de Toilette. Love it to bits. And it is a white, floral, powdery, woodsy accord. It is not like the Eau de Parfum. Very, very different. Chanel does not really advertise this one that much, although I have heard that this year in 2025, they started again manufacturing and giving out samples of Eau de Toilette. They stopped completely years ago. So I'm very pleasantly surprised that they again have the little spray 1.5 ml samples of Eau de Toilette number 5. So there's kind of, I have the feeling it's having some form of a renaissance, hopefully. Would love to see a miniature bottle of this one as well. That hasn't happened in decades. But usually when Chanel launches or relaunches number 5, new promotions, new ad campaigns, usually around the holiday season, they will be pushing forward the Eau de Parfum, L'Eau, and the Extrait. Okay, they're not going to be pushing Eau Première or Eau de Toilette. But they should, because Eau de Toilette is really, to me, after the Extrait, it's the second best. Like, those are the two Ernest Beau original creations we have. And the other three concentrations and flankers that we have are Jacques and Olivier Polge, all created posthumously to Coco's life. Very interesting. Now, why in particular the Eau de Toilette for this month? It's because I really enjoy the duality of that. This is the most detached of Chanel No. 5 perfumes. This is the one that has the most sophistication in its smell. All Chanel No. 5 perfumes, as they dry down, that sandalwood patchouli kick in and it gets ambery warm. But of all of the ones available currently, this is the one that goes least into that direction. It stays woodsy, powdery, dry floral, an abstraction of a floral. Very beautiful. Very 20s, very Picasso painting, very, if you take a white floral and you take an abstraction of an aldehydic fragrance from the 20s and you turn it into a cubistic painting, that cubist painting would be number 5 Eau de Toilette, not the other concentrations. So it's a divertissement. It's an abstraction. It's a sort of an illusion, like a magic trick. It keeps you entertained, really. And it's a very sophisticated perfume that in these terrible times we're living in, where it seems like every second person out there is like really dumb and doesn't get it. This perfume gets it. This perfume elevates the surroundings. Like, you wear this perfume and then all of a sudden the whole energy of the room is elevated to higher standards. You know what I mean? Of behavior, I don't want to say curtsying. It's not a curtsy situation, but it's just a little bit more respect for each other and respect for yourselves, Very, very, very beautiful perfume. Much needed in these times. Eau de Toilette. There you have it. Those would be my top 5 Chanel perfumes for the month of April. If I find a shopping link to this one, I will be posting it down below as well. Really check out the Eau de Toilette. I hope they never discontinue it, really. So there's that. Let me go back to the living room. This is also one of the reasons why I actually chose this setting, yellow, orangey hues in the middle of nature, because there's a specific type of color and sunshine in April. Could be raining, could be a little bit gray weather outside, we don't know. Typical rain, typical April. But then there's a lot of light. There's woodsy accords, white florals, and then we have all those ambery, ilang-ilang vibes that Chanel is so famous for, the honey accord, that little suede vibe. This carpet is not suede, but it gives you the vibe of leather accords like we have in Antaeus. So this entire room is actually these 5 perfumes together, if they were to be depicted visually. Allure and Paris-Venise are in here as well. Really, really beautiful. The allure of the entire vibe. And then we have also the table here, the reflections. That is also very alluring, very typical Chanel with her mirrors. And then Paris-Venise, because actually Venice has an interesting climate, quite warm. And certain tropical or plants that usually grow in the southern regions can also grow in Venice, hence why the vegetation. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Thumb up this video, subscribe to my channel, and until next time, never give up on fragrant love. Bye.